gonna let you get past that exterior, especially in public. And then the kids are running up to you because you're different. And I got so many looks in Italy from Italian women.
Really?
Yeah. So coming here, I was like, yeah, men are like staring, but that's what they did in Italy. And a lot of, I see here more of the women look away than like full on like glaring staring at you.
Direct.
Okay, I'm gonna call it out. I think it's because of COVID. Because when the island was open and we had more conservative, and I'm not going to be rude about a specific country, but when the more conservative females would come over on the weekends, that's when I felt that the mall, like if you would go to City Center Mall, you could feel it like all over your body.
Yeah.
Feel what?
Judgment.
Yep.
Judgment. And I'll go back and say when I worked in Africa, I worked with a beautiful Muslim woman, and matter of fact, I have a tattoo on me with a saying of hers, because I just am so in love with, I've learned so much from her. But she would say to me, you shouldn't wear such things. You are so beautiful without it. But she would do it in such a kind way and loving way. I did Ramadan with her, and she did Easter with me. We did everything together, and we learned from each other. And you know the best part is, we would go together, and she would say, can I ask you about sex? She has 3 kids. Yes, you can ask me. Is it okay? We agreed that as long as we were respectful with each other, we would answer each other's questions. I did experience the beauty of Muslim women and why they're the way they are, and I think that it's incredible. And do not mistake their intelligence.
Yeah.
Do not.
It gets mistaken all the time.
Yes, it does. And do not mistake the fact that they live an alternative lifestyle that we see through our lenses with their ability to be a force. Because trust and believe they are.
Okay, so what about other cultures? What about other countries? I mean, between the 4 of us, we've lived in many.
So I know we've talked about here and then Italy, but I'm going to throw it back to the U.S. because I had instances in the U.S. where what I was wearing, quote, brought me unwanted attention that was on me. So I remember those holy jeans that were in style or whatever. And some of the holes on some of the jeans you could buy were a little interestingly placed, but I was still like, I can't even remember how old I was. It was around 17 or 18, but I had like holes on like the front of my thighs. Like they weren't big or anything, not that it should matter. And then this guy coming up going, oh, look at those holes in those jeans. I didn't even remember what he said, but it was super inappropriate considering I looked like a baby at the time. Like when I was 18, I looked like I was 14. That's just how it was. So even back in the States, it's supposed to be this progressive, westernized country, you still get the same thing. Or even comments from my dad when I would tell him that people would follow me back in the States or stop their cars and yell something nasty out the window. Well, what were you wearing?
Which still goes on today.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you still hear of like American men doing things where you'll ask them why they're doing it, and the girls will ask it in the moment, and they're like, well, what do you expect me to do? You're out here wearing that.
There's a video that I share commonly in my profession. It's called Spoken Word, and it's from an Army Master Sergeant, I think, and it's sort of like essentially a poem to harassment and to sexual assault, and how it sort of like kind of all goes together. And there's a phrase that he says in there, and he said, in the moment we put her cotton shorts on the stand and we let her know that was what was wrong and not what the person did to her. And I always say when I play that to the students, I say, and she was in the car and I broke my parking brake off into her, but that was okay. When you listen and you, no, you need to, this is an amazing thing. I mean, he says it out loud, but the flow, you're like drawn in and you're sucked in. And I always say, okay guys, when things hit, I want you to write down the phrases that hit. That's the one that hits the most. And usually it's the guys in the room that are like, wow, I'm so sad that women feel that their shorts are then the purpose for taking advantage of somebody. Or an invitation. It's not an invitation, right? It's not an invitation. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when he says that, every time I hear it, it takes me aback, because I do have a daughter, and I dare you to tell me that she should be spoken to or touched inappropriately. And she does live with Western values, and she's feeling herself right now, honey. She can wear whatever she wants. Make her feel bad and sexualized because of what she has on.
Yeah.
Well, I have experienced, at least behind my therapy doors, that 95% of the men out there feel the guilt and shame for the other 5% and want to compensate for it. I'm good friends with several of them.
Yes.
And it makes me sad for them.
Yeah.
You know? They don't, they're good people.
Yes.
And some of the things that I've heard shared, I'm sure that some of you have heard some of the same stuff, but some of the shaming that happens to not only women but men after to justify some of the atrocities that have happened to them. It's pretty huge.
I'll call it out. I'll the moment I say this, everybody, these two I know are going to know. Gray sweatpants.
Want to share with the audience?
I'm gonna let her do it. I knew. That's flipping the
Gray
script, isn't it?
sweatpants. Yep.
Go ahead, girl. They make cookies after these. Go. I've
They
seen it
do.
on TikTok. Go.
So gray sweatpants have absolutely no support. So you can fully see what they're working with.
Oh, with men.
Uh-huh.
I have to feed the audience a little bit, guys.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Well, your audience is gonna know about them gray sweatpants.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a thing, right? It's
Yep.
a trend. And I literally, when I teach, I have to say, it
Yep.
has gotten to this. Because I like my classes to be casual. I'll say, no slides and socks, and please wear underwear with your groups. I have to say it. Because it can be, if you are seated in the room.
Yep. It can be very distracting.
But is that the same as telling us to wear certain things to hide our stuff?
Yes, I'm saying out loud what I just did was silly. I'm
Yeah.
saying
Yep.
it. But it has become such a
Yep.
thing. Am I wrong?
No, it is.
And now because it's a thing, normally you'd be like, okay, whatever. But because it's so like a thing,
Now
your
people
eyeballs are
notice
like,
it.
oh,
Yep.
I see. Your
Yep.
wife, boop, gonna get a pound on
Where's
that.
your girlfriend at? Because I'm going to
Yeah.
go give her a high five.
Ah, or you do this, bless your heart.
But you guys, we have to be careful here. We have
No,
to be
it's
careful
fair.
here. We have to be careful here. Okay?
Okay.
Because what our message is don't do that to us. You know?
It's totally
And-
backwards.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm
Yes.
saying
Yes.
out loud what I just said is stupid.
Yep.
I'm saying it out loud.
You guys heard it here?
I said it. But that's why I brought it up, because I knew the moment I said it, they would know what I was saying.
It's funny
I just
though,
don't wanna leave anything
because
left to-
I think I'm a person where certain things that are said to me don't bother me if it's in the right tone and the right coming in the right situation where I'm not gonna care if somebody is like, ooh, girl, your ass looks good in those. Something like that. Like, I'm not gonna care as much as where, like, you know, everybody likes to be sexualized every once in a while. It makes you know, like, you feel attractive and XYZ, but there's ways of complimenting people without crossing the line.
I
and
think
taking
I'd just
it too
rather
far.
my brain to be complimented, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't
Unless
ever
it's
want to
somebody
be
I'm
told you're
close.
sexy?
Not unless it's somebody I'm close to. Not unless I know somebody really,
Okay.
really well. And my tribe at home would roll. They would be rolling. Yeah. But at the same time, I show that same kind of respect.
Yeah.
You know? If I say something about your person, you're going to be somebody close to me. You know? Otherwise, you don't get that privilege.
You want to know
don't
what's
get that privilege.
crazy though? More often than not, it's not men having an issue in sexualizing women. It's women having an issue with other women.
True.
There's a few 5% of men that are the problem in their own situation, but more often than not, it's the females that are like, well, I did see what you went out in.
You think we're mean to each other? We're mean to
Yes.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like, or, you know, somebody will walk by and they'll be like, oh, she's a slut when they come out. Like, it's more often the females that are judging another female off her looks than a male.
Hence
Whereas-
that phrase, slut shaming.
Yes.
Like if she's
Do
having
that.
a different guy every night,
Yeah.
that's between her and the guy.
But why do women do that? Why do you think?
Insecurities you have yourself and you're projecting. I'm not confident enough to go out in public like that, so why should she be confident enough to? Because
I
more
want what
often
she
than
has.
not, you know, we think that guys are sitting there talking to them because of what they're wearing, and then you'll talk to your guy friends and they're like, well, she comes out and doesn't give two fucks what you guys are wearing, so why wouldn't I go talk to her? I want to go get to know her. She comes in here confident and doesn't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
So then you can flip the script that way too and be like, they're wanting to get to know them because they really don't care.
Well, and not to throw shade your way, if it feels good and if the person has good intention, then for me, it's going to have to be a compliment that's not, hey, your ass looks good. It's going to have to be, something that's a little bit not quite in your face,
See, and I think our generation does that more even with
Absolutely.
like female to female though.
Absolutely. True.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Like complimenting, like when you're walking down behind one of your female friends, girl, look at your butt today. Look at you rocking that dress.
Now, I'm going to say it. I have a friend who shall not be named here that we all know. I got to tell y'all the funniest story right quick. She messages me. She's recently moved from our area.
Okay.
And she's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Look at what just slid into my DMs. I'm like, what is this? And this man has sent her a message and it's basically like this. I don't want you to think I'm creepy, but I've noticed you on base. You're super attractive. You're super hot. You're so well dressed in this whole thing. And it went into this whole, right? I'll show y'all when we're done. But hysterical. But I'm like, girl, it's that booty. It's that good booty. Because she would come to work, I'm like, butt's good today, girl. And then she would wear the TikTok pants. I was almost embarrassed at dinner sometimes. I'm like, where you got the TikTok pants? I know we got
she has no shame.
I know we got dinner. But I do not have a shame to tell a friend that. Like, if you are rocking those pants and this is good and that's good, go on and do it.
You and I have started doing this more.
I've also embarrassed her out though, because
God, yeah.
I'll be out. We'll be out
embarrassed?
with our guy friends, and a girl will walk in, and me and him will be like, "Did you see her ass? Should we go talk to her? She can be friends with us." Because I check out everybody. I do not care. But it was so funny because she was sitting there and she was like, "I cannot believe the two of you," and I was like, "She looks good. She should know she looks good."
Well, you know what, though? I've always said
we could use more of that.
But here's what I'll say, and I don't know if it, I'm not going to say this is universal, but men are visual creatures and women are more emotional creatures, and I would never get mad when my husband would like go, oh my God. Now, if he turned back around and wanted her phone number, I'd punch him in his face because that's ridiculous. I never did that, just so we're clear, because I don't want to get That's
Everyone
just an expression. It's an expression.
Violence is not condoned.
No, it's not. Don't do that. But, truthfully, you know what I'm saying? Like, we eat with our eyes, literally and figuratively. So leave it at that. I mean, it's okay if something's visually pleasing to look at it. We make it bad. And it's okay to sexualize a man, certainly as women, because I look at TikTok and, Scotty7 is like, Jesus, take the wheel.
You got to throw Jesus in there on this one?
Well, he's created. But
I say that the more women who lift other women up, let's go for it. I don't care what you're saying. Just lift each other up.
I agree with you.
Because I think that's at the end of the day where a lot of it stems from is not fighting to lift everybody else up. Because really, if you are sitting there with your man and us shaming them for, finding somebody else attractive and things like that, when you do it too, like you see people and think that, then it creates also this weird boundary with you and your significant other, and then they're like, well, I can't say anything about that, God forbid. She thinks she has to be the only person I find attractive. Like,
I never necessarily agree with that, though. Like, you're not going to go blind just because you're in a committed relationship.
Right?
Nope. You can act like it, but it doesn't work out that way.
And secrecy is what causes people to end up stepping out and doing all these other things, because they can never really express.
But that's confidence in your relationship too, and that's being validated by your partner. And that's one thing I will always say about Jesus. Let it happen. I'm gonna say one nice thing about my ex-husband right here. He was very complimentary that way, and it never bothered me if he saw something attractive. Because I even still tell him, like, oh my God, she's gorgeous. Like that outfit is on point. I mean, of course he's gonna look.
It wasn't the words.
It wasn't the word. 100%.
Yeah.
And so until the end, I was truly validated that way. So I never had to worry about. He took me home and dropped it down. I didn't worry about. He didn't drop it down on her. Right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's all good. Like, don't